The other day, I made a review of the Nissan 350Z Liberty Walk, which as it turns out, wasn't the Nissan 350Z Liberty Walk. It was done by another company that I can't remember the name of. Anyway, I left a comment on that video saying, yeah, that's my bad, I'm an idiot. Today's car, however, is a Liberty Walk. A proper Liberty Walk. It's the Jaguar F-Type Coupe Liberty Walk. I'm a massive F-Type fan. For the longest time, the F-Type was my favourite car in the world, then I got more into classic cars. And the F-Type answers the question of, what do you do when you have to succeed one of the most iconic cars of all time? Because I think everyone knows the E-Type, and to put it this way, did you ever meet anyone that didn't love an E-Type? I haven't. It's my dad's favourite car, so, you know, means a lot. It's also Rory Pond's favourite car. But, yeah, no. Anyway, back to the point. The E-Type was such a hit. Like, you had, I believe Frank Sinatra actually threw a bit of a paddy when he was told he couldn't have one yet. If a car is able to bring a celebrity to, you know, do that, something that, you know, you'd probably have to make an apology video with a ukulele for nowadays, that's a pretty special car. And there was obviously many generations of it, right up to the Series 3 with the big V12, 5.3 litres, right at the end of the E-Type's run. And it was good. It was more of a sports car, but there was a GT variant. The big 2+2, which was more of a 2+ bags, but whatever. But it left Jag with a tough act to follow. They tried with the XJS, which wasn't loved for quite a while, but near the end of its run, finally came into public appreciation. There were several concepts like the XK180 and the F-Type. Not this F-Type, the 1990s F-Type, which would have been, you know, had it made production, a 987 Porsche Boxster rival. But none of them really captured the original E-Type's feel. Not even the XK, which came close, but lacked a little something. But then, in 2011, Jaguar cracked the nut. They gave us the F-Type, a screaming two-seater rear-wheel drive roadster that finally gave the E-Type a proper follow-up. And it was a hit, and it was hit in the exact way that the E-Type was. It took the world by storm, and was brilliant. Genuinely brilliant. At launch, there were 3 different versions. There was the 4-cylinder Roadster, the V6 Roadster, and the full-fat V8 Roadster. Later on, cars like the SVR Roadster came along, and the SVR Coupe, and the even more brilliant, probably my favourite, the Project 7. So yeah, we got a little extremely angry F-Type family. And, well, it was the first time that Jaguar really made the world sit up and take notice since that original E-Type. That's quite something. In fact, that's not quite something, that's really something. Honestly, I do genuinely love the F-Type. Just quite frankly, it is everything you could want in a modern car. Driving precision, because, you know, that's a rear-wheel drive brute with a front engine, and absolutely no idea what the word restraint means. It's powerful, it's drop-dead gorgeous, quite frankly. And why would you want anything else? Well, if this was your first experience of it, I could see why you'd want something else. Liberty Walk. Mitts off my F-Type. Quite frankly, you can do one. I do not want you laying your ugly, germy fingers all over what is, quite frankly, automotive perfection. And look what they've done. It's ugly, it looks like some shitty tuner supercar, not even a unique one. It's terrible! Why? Why do people do this? And it's not like the F-Type is cheap ever, because, you know, most modified cars are usually driven by cheapskates. This is an expensive and valuable car, but that's now been made worthless by Liberty Walk's disgusting, plague-ridden fingers. And yes, I know I'm beginning to sound a bit like Shakespeare here, but seriously, Liberty Walk, fucking do one. First of all, there's power. For something like a Liberty Walk monstrosity, this should not be a problem, considering the fact that those tuning idiots only ever seem to care about power rather than having a good chassis or suspension that can cope with bumps. It's not bad. It's above average, you know. I've driven worse. But it's not really the best. Doesn't really come into its own until upwards of 170 miles an hour. In a car that does 190 at the top, fully tuned. Really? Really, Liberty Walk? Well, you'd better have actually put some effort into the handling, because, quite frankly, the one thing that you're good at, the one bloody thing that you're good at, you failed on. You miserable sods. I have a list of what I call felonies against quality for cars. You know, things like rock hard suspension, which this has got. Suspension that is so low that it's constantly catching on bumps, which this has got. I think you get the point. Stiff chassis, rock hard suspension, terrible understeer. It's hopeless! I found, right, when I was doing my around the world race time, it was constantly catching on curbs and that one little bit of dirt in the first section that, you know, separates the two lanes. Honestly, if this thing committed any more felonies against quality, it could form a cult around it and run for president in America. Because quite frankly, this is stupid. Not just stupid, terrible. I hate it. I am an enormous fan of the real F-Type. This is not a real F-Type. This is an F-Type that has been ruined. And I know I sound really angry about this, but I am. It's awful. Quite frankly, this is the first time I've said this in my life, but I'm offended that people call this an F-Type. Yes, look at me, a liberal saying I'm offended. Make all the f***ing jokes that you want. Quite frankly, this is offensive anyway. Other than the VW Beetle that you get at the start of the game, this is the cheapest car that we've actually got on the spreadsheet. So actually, before we start putting the circuit time on said spreadsheet, I'm going to make the excuse and say that it doesn't really have any rivals of its own. So there's nothing really to compare it to. So if the times do seem a little low, just remember that it's all on its own right now. It costs about 80k, so it's between, currently, the Lamborghini Urus that's going to be reviewed either tomorrow or Wednesday, probably Wednesday, and a car that you get for free and that basically doesn't do anything even when it's tuned. So here we go. 35.56. Alright, nothing special. As you can see, on the third line, here are all the stuff that I did with the F-Type. So you got top speed, time, etc, etc. As you can see, it's only slightly slower than the Urus that we're going to be reviewing tomorrow. On most things. Apart from... Hold on, let me just put the circuit time in. 35.56, we'll see how that stacks up against the Urus tomorrow. Apart from actually, it's... wait, no. Which race was it where it was faster than the Urus? Turns out none, I'm just misremembering things. But put it this way, look, it's the only tier 1 car, other than the Beetle. It's quite cheap, and the stats are relatively mediocre, so as of right now, it's all on its own. We will, as time, carries on, we will add more cars to this list, and it will have some rivals. So we'll see then how good it is, but as of right now, I don't think it's very good. So yes, a terrible handling car with mediocre performance certainly ranks this F-Type as one of my biggest disappointments for this game. Fortunately, if I actually wanted to get my F-Type fix, for quite a while now this game has had the F-Type V6 Coupe, which is the most average car I've ever driven in this game. Average handling, average braking, average chassis, whatever. So that's not any good either. So, if you want a sporty coupe for around 80 grand, what you should have wanted was an F-Type. But what you really want, unfortunately, I think it's the Corvette. Or the TT. Just not the F-Type. So, on that terrible disappointment, I think we will end. Doesn't get much better either, because tomorrow I'm reviewing, not only is it a fake model car, but a big clunky SUV. God, this week is terrible. Brace yourselves and see you then, I guess.